All right, it is Figgie and the Moose here on this Monday on Pix 11 Plus. Good morning, Figgie. How you doing, bud?
Good morning. I am well. Busy weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Mets dropping 2 of 3 against the Philadelphia Phillies, begin a big 4-game set against the Atlanta Braves later on tonight out at Citi Field, and the Yankees survive against the Baltimore Orioles in a game that the Malusis family was at yesterday. But they early start, 11:35 start, I believe it was. I think it was on Roku, but fun atmosphere, fun game. And you got Chisholm with the heroics late. So you got the Yankees taking 2 of 3 against Baltimore, Mets dropping 2 of 3 down in Philadelphia. And then we've got a new NBA champion in Oklahoma City, the Thunder. Are your new NBA champs as the Game 7 goes to them by double digits last night. And really, obviously, the big storyline coming into it is yet another Achilles injury in the NBA, and this one to Tyrese Haliburton. It's a shame. I mean, really, let's start there because I think it kind of took all the wind or all the air out of the room in terms of the Game 7 when he went down to the injury. I didn't really think Indiana had enough without him in order to pull off the upset last night. Figgy, as a young man, obviously, I think he's great for the league. We're not going to get into the dopey conversation about star, superstar, just the level of player that he is. He's great and had an unbelievable, historic NBA run with some of the shots that he hit during this NBA postseason. And it just stinks that he suffered that kind of an injury last night. And not only does Indiana lose Game 7, but we know Halliburton's going to be out the majority, if not all, of the next NBA season.
Yeah, just to think about the landscape of the East, right? The East has been turned upside down now with these injuries, with the 2 Achilles injuries of major players who are the key cogs for their team's success. Now, can they go out there and compete? Sure. There's more than enough guys available. Can they go out there during the regular season and have, a successful season to get to the playoffs? Absolutely. Now, what happens when they get to the playoffs? Because you need those kinds of guys, and we've seen that throughout the NBA Finals. You need those kinds of guys to be able to take over a game, to be able to keep pushing the team to that next level. And, the perfect example is on the other side of the court when you looked at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, how good he was and how instrumental he was for that team to be as good as they were, with one of the best records all time, third, I believe it was, in the amount of victories that they had all the way through the finals and winning it all. It's really a shame, and Knicks fans are rejoicing because everywhere they're hearing the Knicks are now the favorites in the East, but they still have no head coach. So it's very weird to try to put 2 and 2 together as the finals are ending and Oklahoma City is getting their trophy, and you're starting to hear these reports come out. It was just a shame just to see how hard he worked to, keep himself in the games. Very reminiscent of Kevin Durant trying to play on it, not really sure what it was, and they're telling you it's a calf, it's a this, it's a that, and then of course everything is connected. And you realize that and these guys are mortals.
Right. But now you're starting to see it more and more. I mean, it was rare that you saw the Achilles injury, and now it kind of, you've seen it time and time again. You've seen it more in the National Football League. You've seen it more in the NBA. You don't really see it all that much in the National Hockey League, and you really don't see it at all in Major League Baseball. But in the other two, you do. I think it's odd when you look at it. And clearly, he went out there and, he got the medical clearance to go out there and play. And listen, you're a chance to win an NBA title. That Tyrese Haliburton may never get back to the NBA Finals the rest of his career. And this trip ended with him being helped off the court in tears, as he knew. And athletes always know the severity of the injury.
Oh, yeah.
That he knew was an Achilles injury. So, it's you look at the 3 players that suffered Achilles tears in this postseason, all wore the number 0. Haliburton, Jason Tatum, and Dame Lillard. They all wore the number 0, all at different stages of their career, right?
Mm-hmm.
early part in Haliburton, one at the end in Dame Lillard, one right in the middle when you're looking at Jason Tatum. But I think that's something that medical, people in the NBA are going to have to take a look at. It is, why do we see these Achilles injuries on the regular? And you spun it forward in terms of the Knicks. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I hate the idea of Knicks fans rejoicing in injury, or people being stupid on social media and bringing up him grabbing onto his neck and all this other kind of stuff. And I get he's a guy that rubbed a lot of Knicks fans the other way. He's an exquisite basketball player. He was. But now they played no role in the injury. Now we have to here and after is that the Knicks now are in a favorable position. I mean, just think about this, but they don't have a head coach. But like now the pressure is ramped up even more. Like think about that, of whoever takes over this job and what the expectations are going to be. The expectations now are going to be to a level that I don't know if I've ever experienced. Maybe the year that they went to the NBA Finals and lost to the Rockets.
94.
Wasn't in the league. The expectation was to get there. But maybe since then, Figgy, now without, listen, Milwaukee, you've got Giannis and not much else. Philadelphia, you can go out there and count on. Boston's not going to have Tatum. Pacers are not going to have Haliburton. The Cavaliers, who knows what this offseason brings. Like the pressure for the Knicks is now, and whoever takes over as head coach is going to be ramped up to the level of, like, you better make it to the NBA Finals now, because if you don't get through the East, then it's a massive disaster.
It was that way before it happened, right? When you fired Tom Thibodeau and you're saying is that you are the only goal is an NBA championship, and you're looking at guys, and we saw the list of names, coaches for teams that haven't been successful, coaches, first-time coaches possibly. We're hearing a lot of different names as the guys are coming in for interviews. Nobody is jumping out at you like, wow, this is the right guy. And you didn't have that guy when you decided to let go of your head coach who took you to the conference finals. It is an immense amount of pressure. But at the same time, you said to us that, well, this was a tremendous opportunity to make it to the finals with the path that you had. The path was supposed to be lightened by the way that you were getting there and going through a team like Indianapolis, forgetting that Indianapolis had just been to the conference finals the year before, and they had the same continuity of team, head coach, infrastructure, everything else, where they said to themselves, we know the path to get to the NBA Finals. We've been this close before, and we're not going to have to play the Celtics. So they went and were able to move on and played to a Game 7. And even though Haliburton, I look at it this way. He played fantastic in Game 6. Was he hobbled up and down the court, Willis Reed style? No. He seemed like this was something he could manage and he would be okay. And again, was it a big move? Was it a disastrous move where he did something unorthodox? No. He went to ramp up and lean forward. We saw the same thing with Tatum. He went to lean forward to go get the ball. It wasn't the most athletic move they've ever pulled off on a basketball court, and the Achilles pop. So I liken it to when Tommy Johns became rampant in baseball. There's a reason why these things are happening, and it doesn't look the same. It doesn't look like previous Achilles injuries when you could say, oh my God, look how he came down on that. Yeah, you could definitely tell. It's nothing of that nature. These guys are just literally pushing off their right foot and trying to, create that burst. So to me, yeah, you have to look into it. To me, there's technology is always good, and advancements in technology are always good. Now, the way that the sneakers are made, the way that they grip the floor, all these different things you can look into what is possibly causing it. Because I know for myself with Tommy Johns, I go back to a specific point in time that in HD quality television came around. They changed the mixture of dirt and clay. Remember when you used to watch games at Shea Stadium or Yankee Stadium, and the guys would slide in the second base and be a big cloud of dirt, right? A big cloud of dirt when we were kids growing up. And you couldn't tell if there was a spike, if the spike beat it in there or not. The umpire would make the call if the ball beat him or not. HD television came around and replays were starting to come around, and it was so more advanced that they changed that mixture, and you don't see the big clouds of dust anymore. So what does that mean? That means it's a harder surface to play on. And when they're using those spikes and the pitchers are landing onto a harder surface and it doesn't move and it doesn't give, something has to give in that kinetic chain. And so Tommy Johns that's the weakest link. The Achilles, of course, would be the weakest link when you talk about, what comes up the foot into the ankle. That Achilles, it's Achilles for a reason. And we're seeing it in all different sports. So the playing surfaces have to be looked at, what they wear and how they're using the equipment. That's always something, because you're always looking for an advantage, right? Man, these shoes feel great. They grip better than before. I can turn. I can pivot a lot better. They're not the old Chuck Taylors anymore. They're using special synthetic rubber on the bottom of those shoes so that they have those kinds of advantages. So it's a shame. It really is, because you never want to see somebody in whether it's the end of their career and that's how they go out, or in the prime of their career, or, just the beginnings, where you see these guys playing at the highest of levels and just competing and wanting to win a championship. And then he's out for the rest of the season, the rest of next season, possibly.
Yeah, right. And now you have to deal with, and now we get to the NBA draft, which is this week, the NBA offseason. We saw Kevin Durant get moved already. He's now a member of the Houston Rockets. Strange how, things happen during the course of the NBA finals. Like, you never see this in the National Football League. The sheer focus is just on what is going on. Really, the one thing you saw during the World Series was the A-Rod stuff, and he got ripped to the high heavens for that. Like, that's something that Adam Silver needs to realize. Why not just announce the trade and make it official on Monday, or announce the deal on Monday? It becomes official in July. Why not?
What was the rush?
Yeah, like 2:00 or 1:30 yesterday afternoon, 1:00, noon, whatever it might be on the the morning afternoon of Game 7 of the NBA Finals. You're announcing that Kevin Durant it's being leaked out, getting traded to the Houston Rockets. That's something that's got to be buttoned up by the NBA. And by the way, I heard our buddy Frank Isola mention it this morning on his show. If you think Kevin Durant found out that he was being traded to the Houston Rockets when he was on the stage yesterday at Fanatics Fest in New York City, come on. He knew he was getting traded to the Rockets. Come on now. People are so dopey sometimes. They really are, especially with the way that Durant handles things.
If you think that it happened that way and that it was released without his knowledge, especially, who he is and how he's been demanding of trades before, and he wasn't involved as a Saturday night, hey, this is a done deal kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, when he went to bed Saturday night, he knew it was a done deal. The fact that, somebody leaked it in advance of the finals Game 7 is a shame, because you took away from what, at first on paper was a lackluster, because it's not two, mega cities or mega fan bases, and OKC and Indian, but it was highly competitive, highly entertaining. Each game kind of was its own entity, with teams going back and forth and figuring each other out. And it was like the first 3 games. You're not going to win a championship the first 3 games. It was a sparring match. Let's see what this other guy's got. Let's see. We'll step on the gas pedal a little here, see if he can keep pace. And they were able to do that. And so it wound up going to a Game 7. And what's that? The greatest 2 words in sports? Game 7? No, the greatest 2 words are, it's over. Is the greatest 2 words, I think, in sports. So for fans, you got to see, you get to see guys still giving it their all. McConnell was unbelievable, becomes a cult hero now because of what he was able to do playing for Haliburton and heating up in the third quarter and at least trying to keep them around. But you could just see it was going to be too little, too late. They kicked it into that 5th gear that they had in OKC, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was just we thought Haliburton was fun with the unorthodox nature of what he can do. Shai can do anything he wants to do.
Yeah, it might be a start of a dynasty out there in Oklahoma City. So, the Knicks, even though they weren't in the NBA Finals, benefit of injury with Haliburton in an Eastern Conference that's wide open. They also get the benefit of making the right decision and not pursuing Kevin Durant, as he is now stays in the Western Conference, going from Phoenix to Houston. We'll get into a little bit of baseball. We'll do that next. It's Figgie and the Moose on this Monday right here on Pix 11 Plus. Welcome back. It's Figgie and the Moose right here on Pix 11 Plus. All right, Figgie, a little bit of baseball, and we're going to be on the airwaves tonight, 6 o'clock for Sports Nation Nightly, right before Mets pregame as they get going against the Atlanta Braves. And then right after that game goes final, we'll hop on early portion of the news and break down what everyone saw and what everyone witnessed at Citi Field. It's been a while. I mean, listen, you have big series, interesting series. Nothing. I'm not gonna, Yankees Mets is obviously always entertaining, and we love that. We're gonna get that amazingly enough. I have no idea. 4th of July weekend, you're gonna get Yankees Mets, which makes little to no sense. But I'm not the scheduler of Major League Baseball. But put that aside, tonight's a big one for the Mets, having gone through that losing streak, snap out of it Saturday night with the 7 solo home runs. They win that game decisively, 11-4. Everyone could be okay. Soto with a couple home runs, including one ball that he hit that I don't even think has landed as of yet. Last night, a lackluster performance in Sunday Night Baseball against the Philadelphia Phillies. Now you come home, and it's going to be hot. The Met fans going to be a little nervous. They're no longer in first place in the National League East, and they're taking on their dreaded rival, the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, and on the mound for your Mets is Paul Blackburn. I mean, what could go wrong?
What you want. Not ideal. Not what you want.
Yeah, Schwellenbach, who has had the Mets number since he's come to the big leagues, faltered his first time out there. They were able to get to him a little bit, but they wound up losing that game anyway. He is it's going to be one of those gut check nights, not the ideal conditions, not the ideal matchup on the mound. At least it's not Chris Sale and Strider. But you have to go out there and find a way to right the ship. It's been rough waters. We got, the House of Horrors known as Atlanta for the Mets continue to rear its ugly head. You go to Philadelphia, you lose the first one, you bounce back in the second one, and you feel like, oh, here we go. They broke back out, and then have a stinker for the ESPN game last night. We know these things come, we know these things go, and that's what happens in a baseball season, is that you have to find a way to weather the storm. The interesting thing for me was the 2 for 5 and a team win, and his first home run that you can remember when, and it's a 450-foot shot, and it's like, Francisco Alvarez is awake. Yeah. And then he's in AAA. Like that just, I get it. There was a lot of things. I mean, you can look at Torrens. Torrens had a catcher's balk during the series. Torrens hasn't been hitting very well either. Like there's nowhere to go with it. But if this guy was your catcher of the future, and he was supposed to be your starter if he didn't get hurt with the thumb injury, with the hamate bone injury, to start the season, and now all of a sudden he goes 2 for 5, and you guys win a game, and everything's supposed to feel good, and you send him out to AAA. I'm very confused about that. Something doesn't sit right with me about that move, because there was no panic move or need to do it. It wasn't, he finally.
I mean, I would lean in on the idea they probably, and we all saw it. I mean, some of the stuff was concerning. He's still very young at 24. They feel like, maybe they feel like he needed to be humbled. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Alvarez.
Yeah, no. That's exactly my point. Like this wasn't necessarily a baseball thing. So much as to what there was something else to this.
Well,
it just doesn't.
Fine. I mean, but we've seen that before in Major League Baseball, which let's be honest. I mean, it's not like he's tearing the cover off the baseball.
No doubt.
And he is not. It's not like they're demoting him to send a point because in spite of what he's doing offensively, he's not really doing anything. I mean, he's nowhere near the player they thought. So they probably had internal discussions. What's going to wake him up?
I can see that.
I mean, we need to send a message here, clear and distinct, like this. Not, I don't know what it is, but something needed to stop, or maybe you needed to go get back to basics, or I don't know. I mean, we've had discussions on the air, off the air. Luis Torrens is a better catcher. I mean, he's a better option. He should be the Mets starter. I think there's a lot of people that the only reason Alvarez was still getting the playing time and the reps that he was is because at one point in time, he was the Mets' number 1 prospect in their entire farm system. That's it.
Yeah, no. And it has been said since we talked about it on Friday. You know, Buck Showalter famously said, I keep hearing this kid is the future. I keep hearing this kid is a superstar, but I don't see it. Like, and that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, because like, he's a #1 prospect. How could you possibly say that? But prospects are prospects. They're suspects until they're actually, you know, bona fide stars. And he hit 24 home runs that first year. And you said, okay, we can see the power, but he also batted 209 or 214, something in that range, low twos. You're like, okay, there's room to grow. And then we haven't seen any growth since. And his catching had gotten better. His framing had gotten better. They were applauding that last year when the Mets went on that streak, you know, and down the stretch. And, you know, that was the thing that they were focused on, is that he became a better defensive catcher. And then you saw kind of in the Atlanta series where he's just kind of snatching at balls, down on the one knee thing, trying to scoop balls up, and balls are getting by him. And it just, you know, it was bad optics to begin with. It was just strange for me for the timing. Like, if you didn't wait till the series was at least over and then send him out, or you didn't, you know what I mean? Like, for him to hit a home run like that, and you say finally, you know, okay, that's what we've been waiting for the power. Let's see if it carries over to tomorrow. He wasn't playing anyway, probably. You know, you had Tyrese probably going to be catching anyway. It was just very weird for the optics. And yeah, you know, you hope it shakes him up. You hope it wakes him up, because some people get comfortable. They think it's their job and only their job. And that's something that we feared with Vientos, right? The way that he kind of was carrying himself of, you know, going through the motions and trying to say, hey, I can weather this beginning of the part, and I'm going to get better as the season goes on and be that guy that I was last year. And we never got a chance to see that as of yet. You know, the injury, of course, gives him some time off. Maybe he can get a reset. Brett Beatty got sent down how many times? And then when he comes back up, he comes out with a man like his hair's on fire. And then he cools off, and then you're like, what are we going to do with him now? Then we're like, what are we going to do with him now? You know, Mauricio's up here, and all we kept saying was, remember those 23 at-bats that he had that first year? He's going to be amazing. And he's hitting home runs in Syracuse, and you're like, all right, this is what they need. And he has 1 home run, and he's batting low twos, if that, right now, and looks really overmatched at the major league level. And now you're sitting back saying, what happened to the young guns? What happened to this young core that you had all the promise for? And if you're David Stearns, maybe starting to juggle some things around and put some packages together to get some things that are at least quantifiable at the major league level. Because right now, none of these young guys are.
No, they're not. I mean, they're not. And you need to start to find some solutions. And I'm all for, you know, going out there and who doesn't love a prospect? Everyone loves a prospect, right? But
Yankees have stockpiled them for years.
Yeah, right. But they often break your heart. I'm not going to tell you that. I mean, like that's it. I mean, and what you thought they were going to be. Like, I bring up Wells for the Yankees. Like, we were told that Wells is a terrible defensive catcher, awful, never be able to handle his staff. He'll never be an everyday catcher. I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm not even focused in on his offense, and he'll run into some. He handles the staff great. I mean, he really does. Like, there's no, like, you're not sitting there hoping that he's catching the ball, or, you know, is it knee down or everything like that. Like, he's got a calm, cool demeanor behind home plate. I'm not telling you that he's Johnny Bench, but he's not as bad as people made him out to be when he's coming up through the farm system. He really is not, and he has met the moment. We'll see what happens with Francisco Alvarez, but Mets get a series going against the Atlanta Braves. Yankees are in Cincinnati to take on the Reds. You know, not a ton going on around the Bombers, more in terms of as far as the Mets goes. After a bad road trip, bad last 3 games against Tampa, now they come back home, and Met fans going to be nervous. But the Atlanta Braves, what did they do after sweeping away the Mets? They went down to Miami and lost 2 or 3 against the Marlins. I mean,
go figure.
The Braves are going to be the Braves anyway.
Question: Have you ever been to Cincinnati?
I have. Old stadium, yes. Old
Skyline Chili. Have you ever had any Skyline Chili?
Skyline Chili. No, we stopped in Cincinnati on our way home after going to the Kentucky Derby in '92.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was
I
great.
can tell you right now, Skyline Chili, that stays with you for a while.
I'm sure it does. Well, you're a big spice guy. You like your different food. Figgie?
Yeah.
What it is, people don't understand, like, what it is to be a former professional athlete. Like, Figgie, the intake that he has on a day in, day out basis is just, like, remarkable. Like, it's just like a Hoover. He's just constantly and it doesn't affect them. It just doesn't.
There's some balance in there, Like I have fruit in there. I have,
you barely eat some greens. I mean, you're having street meat. You're bringing in pizza. You got cookies every day.
Street meat is like street meat.
Chocolate, like it's amazing. It really is.
But it's not all. Sit here and lie and say it's all for me. Are my treats from just me, or do I?
No, I'm not telling you don't share. I'm not telling you. I'm just saying you have an amazing diet. You're burning popcorn in the microwave. I mean, you just have an amazing diet. I look at
well done popcorn. Wasn't burnt.
Right. I'm walking around starving the majority of the day. That's why I'm so cranky at times. Anyway, we're out of time. 6:00 tonight. Make sure to check us out. Sports Nation Nightly, a special time with the Mets and Braves on Pix 11. And we'll be on right after the game as well. So have yourself a wonderful Monday. Stay cool. It's hot out there. Remember, hydrate.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone talks about hydrate. Figgie, see you on the TV later on tonight. We'll see everybody else on the TV. That's Figgie and the Moose for this Monday right here on Pix 11 Plus.